10 superhero movies that are masterpieces. Superhero movies have exploded into the mainstream, thrilling us with epic battles, iconic characters, and jaw-dropping effects. But every so often, a superhero film does more than just entertain. It elevates the genre, blending powerful storytelling, emotional depth, and visionary direction to become something truly unforgettable. From dark and gritty reimaginings to groundbreaking cultural milestones, these are the 10 superhero movies that aren't just great, they're cinematic masterpieces. Get ready for nostalgia, chills, and maybe a few surprises. Let's dive in. 10 Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 2023. The first two Guardians of the Galaxy films had a near-perfect balance of hilarious comedy and genuine heart. But Guardians of the Galaxy 3 proves to be a beautiful send-off to these characters. During a battle on Nowhere, Rocket, Bradley Cooper, is critically injured. While the Guardians try desperately to find the components needed to save him, Rocket bears witness to his tragic and horrifying past as he lies at death's door. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a darker and more bittersweet film than its predecessors, yet that only strengthens its emotional impact. The villain is genuinely despicable, the soundtrack is exquisite, and the conclusions the characters face work well within the broader MCU narrative. All three films are about broken people coming together to form a family, and perhaps nobody in the team has faced as much hardship, nor grown as much as a hero, as Rocket Raccoon. 9. The Suicide Squad 2021. In this standalone sequel, Task Force X, otherwise known as the Suicide Squad, is sent on a mission to the island of Corto Maltese to destroy something known only to them as Project Starfish. This team, consisting of Bloodsport, Idris Elba, Peacemaker, John Cena, Ratcatcher 2, Daniela Melchior, King Shark, Sylvester Stallone, Polka Dot Man, David Dastmalchian, and returning members Rick Flag Jr., Joel Kinnaman, and Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie work through their individual problems while discovering this project is much more horrifying than they could have imagined. The first 10 minutes of the Suicide Squad are worth the ticket price alone, establishing a ruthless, playful, and unpredictable tone that carries through to the final post-credits scene. James Gunn does not shy away from some of the more outlandish and ridiculous elements of the DC universe, displaying them on full, Technicolor display while giving them a surprising amount of dramatic pathos. Put it together with a great soundtrack, perfect costumes, and some of the funniest moments in any superhero film, and the Suicide Squad is a dirty yet shining gem. 8. RoboCop 1987. In the not-too-distant future, Detroit is a crime-ridden, borderline dystopian hellhole. When police officer Alex Murphy, Peter Weller, is brutally murdered in the line of duty, his body is taken by a mega-corporation. Transformed into a literal crime-fighting machine with no memory of his past life, Murphy begins to uncover the truth behind his purpose and what this corporation plans to do with him in the long run. One part sci-fi action film, one part superhero origin story, and one part starkly relevant social satire, RoboCop is a brutally violent and entertaining watch. While frequently poking fun at consumerism, corporate oversight and corruption, and the role of police, it remains a tale of a man learning to grapple with the strange and wondrous new abilities he possesses. As the human spirit begins to emerge from the shell of a machine, said abilities allow him to deliver both righteous justice and brutal vengeance. 7. Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse 2023. Into the Spider-Verse showed that anyone can wear the mask, but Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse asks, what are you going to do with that mask? Miles Morales, Shay McMore, has grown into his new web-slinging persona, facing the same struggles between the mask and the man. But that struggle will be brought on an even more cosmic scale when a new villain calling himself the Spot, Jason Schwartzman, begins a journey of multiversal conquest. Miles is pulled into an entire society of spider people ready to keep the multiverse stable, but Miles quickly questions the cost of said stability. Across the Spider-Verse, the first of a two-part story, is one of the greatest animated sequels ever made. It builds upon an already airtight foundation with deeper emotional beats, psychedelic and boundary-pushing animation, and an ending that will shock any fan of Miles to the core. It dares to question the implications of Spider-Man's classic coda, with great power comes great responsibility, and asks if that responsibility is worth both letting innocent people die and letting the heroes themselves suffer because of it. 6. The Dark Knight 2008. Gotham City's future seems unusually bright. The mob's rule over the city is beginning to dwindle thanks to the efforts of Batman, Christian Bale, and the Caped Crusader decides to hang up his cape to leave Gotham in the hands of District Attorney Harvey Dent, Aaron Eckhart. But when a strange figure with a taste for chaos known only as the Joker, Heath Ledger, comes to town, Batman, Dent, and the whole city will be flung into a new kind of criminal takeover. The Dark Knight is the most essential of superhero sequels, grappling with the greater questions of not just Batman's war on crime, but also the very idea of justice to begin with. Heath Ledger gives a generation-defining performance as the Joker. The cinematography and action are an improvement over Batman Begins, and the ending is appropriately bittersweet, showing precisely how sometimes the hero you deserve may not always be the one you need. 5. Superman, the movie, 1978. The film that made the world believe a man can fly, Superman, the movie is the film that defined the genre. Doomed Planet, Desperate Scientist, Last Hope, Kindly Couple. The first half shows Kal-El's, Christopher Reeve, origin from an infant of a doomed world to growing up as the boy calling himself Clark Kent. Then, once he gets to Metropolis, becoming the hero the world knows as Superman, he will find love with Lois Lane, Margot Kidder, and face off against the sinister machinations of Lex Luthor, Gene Hackman. The plot and some of the special effects of Superman, the movie, have physically aged, but that only adds to its old-school charm. In a cinematic era as cynical as the 70s, it's almost a miracle that a character as idealistic as Superman still found a way to connect with both critics and audiences. Christopher Reeve's performance still defines the character in the modern age, and the imagery, musical score, and characters still inspire those who dare to look up in the sky. 4. The Incredibles, 2004. Super strong Bob Parr Craig T. Nelson and his shape-shifting wife Helen, Holly Hunter, are a pair of superheroes who, after being forced into retirement by the government, have spent the last 15 years moving into the suburbs and starting a family. But when a new villain known as Syndrome, Jason Lee, begins a plot to kill all superpowered people, Bob, Helen, and their kids, Speedster Dash, Spencer Fox, Invisible Violet, Sarah Vowell, and Baby Jack Jack, Eli Fusile / Maeve Andrews, must stand together to save the world. Many have joked that the best Fantastic Four movie is The Incredibles, despite the two having seemingly nothing in common. But the truth is that The Incredibles shares the same spirit of a family of superheroes that had their disagreements and ordinary problems, yet still managed to function as a team and do extraordinary things. With great direction from Brad Bird, fun twist of superhero archetypes, and an enjoyably smarmy villain, this film remains the definitive superhero family movie. 3. Logan, 2017. Sometime in the future, the X-Men are no more. Mutants are a thing of the past, and the heroes formerly known as Wolverine/Logan, Hugh Jackman, and Professor X/Charles Xavier, Patrick Stewart, have gone into hiding. As the greater legacy of both Logan and the X-Men's legacy is called into question, the two former heroes meet a young girl named Laura, Daphne Keene, who is on the run from an evil corporation looking to harness her abilities for evil, and her abilities are suspiciously similar to Logan's. After 2 less-than-stellar solo movies, Logan proves to be the film that cemented the title character as one of the greatest superheroes on film. Cathartically violent, unrelenting, and beautifully bittersweet, the film follows the tone of a classic Western, with a lone outlaw with faded morals called in to save the day one last time. There's no black leather, yellow spandex, or giant sci-fi plotting, but it's still the best X-Men movie to date. 2. Black Panther 2018. After the events of Captain America: Civil War, King T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman, has taken his rightful place as the Black Panther, the king of the secret African nation, Wakanda. Already dealing with the weight of the crown, he soon sees the rise of a new threat in Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan, a ruthless former Black Ops mercenary set to take the throne for himself and start a global revolution. As Killmonger's plans begin to unfold, T'Challa begins to see that his country's isolationist worldview might have done more harm than good. Black Panther is one of the MCU's best stories, depicting a grayer area than a simple good versus evil fight while still having an idealistic point of view. In a franchise infamous for not having the best villains, Killmonger stands strong with a sympathetic motivation and a worldview that's not entirely without merit. T'Challa makes for a compelling hero in his own right, recognizing the mistakes of his ancestors, but still choosing to do what is right not just for his people, but for the world as well. 1. Spider-Man: Into the Spider-Verse, 2018. Taking the worlds of superhero movies, Spider-Man movies, and the entire animation industry by surprise, Spider-Man: Into the Spider-Verse is a perfect superhero movie in every way. In an alternate New York where Spider-Man, Chris Pine, still swings overhead, teenage Miles Morales, Shameik Moore, is bitten by a similar radioactive spider. What begins as a standard Spider-Man origin soon delves into something much, much bigger, as Miles is joined by a small team of other spider people from other dimensions to stop the Kingpin, Liev Schreiber, from causing widespread destruction. Into the Spider-Verse is a tribute to Spider-Man, his spirit, and his legacy, paying tribute to nearly all corners of the character's mythos, even the questionable ones. In spite of the mind-bending concepts and ambitious plot, it never loses track of how Miles' story is first and foremost. The animation broke the boundaries of the genre, combining a comic book aesthetic with three-dimensional quality. Simply put, it's everything anyone could want out of a superhero movie. And there you have it, 10 superhero movies that truly deserve masterpiece status. Which one is your favorite? Or did we miss one? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this list, hit the like button, subscribe for more epic content, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a hero-worthy video. Thanks for watching. Stay super.